Hey everyone, welcome to 2005 in the Abyss. I am Rob, and 2005 is a pretty good year. We have some decent comedies, dramas, and thrillers. The 2000s, the last couple years have been pretty strong overall with movies. And you know what? I guess I am just a person who loves movies. Yes, they're not as good as 70s and 80s. I will stand by the fact that to me, the 70s and 80s for film and music were the best. Um, but as we've gone on and on and on, there's some strong stuff in here. Um, we'll start off as always with comedies, and Steve Carell, hot off of Bruce Almighty, gets the 40-year-old virgin. Um, it's a pretty good comedy. I like movies, and there's a couple we'll talk in here where they do real things, and you get one take with it. For example, when they're waxing his chest, I like actors who take risks in situations that will not injure them or risk life or that kind of stuff. But simple things like that, and getting that real reaction, and the guys around him, Paul Rudd and such, sitting there laughing while it's happening, makes for really good comedy, because you can't replace real stuff. It's a good movie. It's got some good comedy to it, and some good rhythm, and it's enjoyable. The next comedy I actually like better. Just Friends, Amy Smart, Ryan Reynolds. This is, of course, the early part of the movie where Ryan Reynolds is in the fat suit, and then kind of fast forwards to how he looks now, and rediscovering his high school love, and or the one he was in love with. And like we talked about with Van Wilder the other day, this is the Ryan Reynolds formula: the timing, the delivery, the way he um, is starting to really build going into this movie. And once again, a lot of funny parts, really enjoyable. You never get tired of it. It's well worth a watch. Next, kind of romantic comedy: Kevin James, Will Smith, Hitch. I really like this movie. I think that there's some great moments of him trying to teach Kevin James how to be, cool and suave and all that stuff. And of course, the kissing scene, and the scene where he's allergic to, whatever, and he blows up. I mean, there's just a lot of it. And like I said earlier, we talked about Will Smith with Men in Black. This is his niche. This is where he can be, witty, and has that good timing and funny, but yet has some seriousness to him. And this is right up his alley, just like we talked about with Ryan Reynolds. When they can be in movies that are up their alleys, they just do what they do well and make for really good comedic movies. And Hitch is another one in that vein. Kind of an action and adventure kind of comedy, in my opinion. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. I love this movie, and then you add the Vince Vaughn aspect to it, and it has the comedic part of it, but of course it's a thriller, and it has a lot of action, shoot 'em up, and they are terrific together. They play off each other well. They have great moments together, and once again, it's another really enjoyable movie. If this is on TV, I'm watching it. I just think they do a terrific job. All right, switching gears to more of just a straight kind of crime thriller. Viggo Mortensen, Maria Bello in History of Violence, also starring Ed Harris. I don't want to ruin too much if you haven't seen this, because it's kind of a cool thriller and has some good twists to it. But he does a great job with it, and Maria Bello as his wife does a great job. And once again, they carry the film, and then enters Ed Harris, and you get a lot of good work, and it's another enjoyable movie. Now, am I going to go watch this as much as some of the other ones we mentioned? No, because of the subject matter, compared to, you can always watch a comedy. You got to be in the mood for certain movies, but this is a really good movie, and it's unique, and we talked about that a lot. When you have creativity and good acting, you're going to have a good movie. Another one that it's kind of creative and unique. And I think this is Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson's best job. I wouldn't say their greatest job, but they do a really good job together. And then you add Sean Bean, who is the best at being unlikable. He's just one of those guys, and every role he gets is that Sean Bean role, and he has it in this movie. And once again, it's a unique concept. They do a good job. It's enjoyable to watch, and very much like History of Violence. If it's on, I might watch it. There's others I would watch ahead of it, but it's still a movie that if you haven't seen, it's worth the watch because it'll surprise you of how interesting and the twists and turns that go with it. All right, another movie kind of unique in its own style and stuff like that is V for Vendetta. It has those political over undertones, but also I was going to say overtones. It's kind of obvious with it as well. And it's unique the way that they did it. And you see the V mask, at Halloween and stuff like that. It's pretty famous. But for me, it's all about her performance. Natalie Portman just does an amazing job. And once again, like we talked about with 40-Year-Old Virgin and getting the chest waxed, she shaves her head in this, right? To me, as a woman, when you have that kind of guts in your work, and a lot of people say, well, come on, Rob, that's not that big of a deal. A lot of people wouldn't do it. You would be surprised. She did it. It's a one take. It's terrific. It's honest. It's real. And once again, whenever you see those real moments, it just makes for just better film, whether it's comedy, whether it's drama, whatever it is, because of the authenticity. So, Natalie Portman gets A+ rating for this, and her performance is terrific. All right. Tom Cruise, Dakota Fanning, War of the Worlds. This is a Steven Spielberg film, and it's great. It's really well done. Actually, I just got the other day the original War of the Worlds on Criterion, so I'm looking forward to seeing this and then seeing the differences here. But as I spoke the other day, there's not many films that Tom Cruise is in that you can't sit back, watch, and enjoy. And this is another one. In Dakota Fanning, as we spoke the other day, I don't know of a better child actor. She's terrific. And the story is really good, and it's one of those kind of sci-fi type movies, and I like it a lot. Once again, it's one of those ones that I kind of have to feel like, oh yeah, I'll watch that, or if it's on TV, maybe catch some of it. But overall, I mean, it's a can't miss. And like I said, I'll report back. Eventually, I'll do some kind of segment about Criterions or whatever and let you know about the original. All right, kind of getting down to our last few here. I had to mention this. For the prequels, this is probably the best. Revenge of the Sith. This is, of course, where Anakin becomes Darth Vader and they introduce the suit and all of that kind of stuff. I think there's elements of this movie that are really good, and there's some elements where I just shake my head. It is what it is. But, we just talked about Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta and Ewan McGregor for The Island. Here they are again. They do a great job, the both of them. I think that they really carry the movie. Hayden Christensen's okay. And then you get the other elements around it. Ian McDermott as the Emperor, from all accounts that I've heard, I've never met him, but what I've heard is he is that guy. He's not a likable guy. So, it kind of fits, and he's really good in it. And like I said, it's the best of the prequel, so at least it's worth a mention in this group, and a decent film. All right, so our top three, and you can move these around. Actually, I'm going to go this one first. I'm going to go Batman Begins. This could be just a regular, action thriller type movie if it wasn't, even if you didn't attach Batman to it because of the storyline behind it. And then the heavyweight acting in it, with Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine and Rutger Hauer and Ken Watanabe and Liam Neeson. It's packed, right? And then, Christian Bale does a good job, and, you have a really good start to this next series of Batman films. And like I said, if he wasn't Batman, it could just be some kind of, a guy who avenges, past wrongs, that kind of thing, like a modern day Robin Hood, whatever it is. It could be a Death Wish type film. But because of the Batman element, you bring in the comic part of it, which kind of tells the story of how he becomes Batman, which is super cool. And I think it's really well done. It's unique in how it's done compared to other Batmans and such. And like I said, with the cast, it's a can't miss. And like I said, the three of these movies can be interchangeable, but you know, I'm sure you all seen it and love it as much as I do. The runner-up is going to be Joaquin Phoenix, Reese Witherspoon, Walk the Line. What a great movie! What a great story, and what a phenomenal job by both of them. You know, Reese won the Academy Award. Joaquin should have. He lost to Philip Seymour Hoffman for Capote, who did a great job in his own right. But when you are singing all of the music, you know, it kind of takes it to a different level. A lot of these movies, you'll get, you know, either lip syncing or a combo of your voice and somebody else who impersonates that singer's voice. With them, you actually get their voices, and they do a really good job. You really forget, you know, that you're watching Reese and Joaquin, and you feel like you're watching Johnny and Joan Carter. It's just it's absolutely just amazing, and it's just such a great, great, great film. June Carter, I said Joan. Anyways, you guys understand. But I could go on and on and on about this. And last night when I was thinking about it, I was kind of leaning toward this going number one. But one of my criteria is which one have I seen the most? Which one will I watch the most? And because of that, number one ends up being, yep, you guessed it, Wedding Crashers. The best comedy since Animal House, in my opinion, with Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Rachel McAdams, and then you add Chris Walken, and very much like we talked about with De Niro in Meet the Parents as the father-in-law, you know, Walken as the possible father-in-law, and he's also high up Secretary of State or whatever he is, could be president someday, and then the Walken being makes it very intimidating, and the comedy is priceless, and it never gets old. It's always funny. There's great moments. It's so quotable. It's just really, really well done. A unique concept and just a fantastic comedy. And like I said, you know, a different day, depending on, you know, this or that, you know, Batman Begins, Walk the Line, and Wedding Crashers are interchangeable. But like I said, going through the criterias of what I would go for as a number one, Wedding Crashers gets the slight edge today. And once again, all three of these movies you guys probably have all seen, and they're worth rewatching again and again and again. So for 2005, I went with Wedding Crashers. On the music side, I have a few. I'll just go pretty quick. Dream Theater, Octavian, great album. I like how they twist. This is their 8th album, so right, like the name kind of mixes in with Oct, right, 8. And then, you know, there's some great songs in here. Panic Attack, which I've seen live. They do a great job. Root of All Evil is phenomenal, and many more. So I wanted to point that out. I've talked about them before. The Bronx Casket Company. I love the name. Hell-Electric is the album name. It's really good. Little Dead Girl, Sherry Moon, Bleed for Me. Like, you know, this is a really strong kind of goth rock album. It's not really heavy metal. I mean, it's a little goth hard rock, whatever. It just kind of has that feel to it. You know, once again, it's a really enjoyable album, and it's one that I listen to more toward Halloween time and such. But I just love it. The other day we talked about Circle to Circle. This is their sophomore effort, Middle of Nowhere, and it's a great follow-up to watching it now. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but anyways, that we talked about the other day. Watching in Silence, I believe, is the original was Watching in Silence, and then Middle of Nowhere was the follow-up. And you know, in this life, it opens up with, and it's kind of cool because he does something with his voice when he sings parts of it, and then you hear his regular voice, so it sounds like almost like he's singing a duet with himself, which is kind of neat. It's different. All That Remains is phenomenal. Open Season. I mean, this is just really, really the middle of nowhere, of course, title track is a really, really great second album. A lot of times, like anything else, you'll see, a band have a really good start and then kind of fall off and come back. They're one of those bands that kind of built for a while. And this one's just as good as the first one. All right, runner up for 2005, Halloween, Keeper of the Seven Keys, The Legacy. I don't know if necessarily this was needed to be done, as we spoke about with Keepers 1 and Keepers 2 back in 87 and 88, back to back, year apart, great. Now here they are doing this, 17 years later. There are some great tracks on here. King for 1,000 Years is awesome. Occasion Avenue is great. Mrs. God I like a lot. Come Alive is great. It's just it is overall a really good record, and it probably should be a standalone, not part of the Keepers. But I kind of get what they were doing, just kind of piquing interest of the fans and stuff. And like I said, I enjoy the album, and I think it's great, but it should be a standalone. Keeper 1 and Keepers 2 is far and above two of the greatest heavy metal albums, in my opinion, of all time. All right, number 1, Camelot, The Black Halo. This is actually part 2 of a story that they were doing. The album before was the beginning, and this was part 2. This was one of those bands I discovered where I just saw the name, saw the cover, thought it was cool, bought it, which was actually Ghost Opera, which was after this, and then started working backwards and got this one, and I just love this album. This album is really strong. March of Mephisto, When the Lights Go Down, The Haunting is unbelievable. Soul Society, if I'm doing a mix, that song is on everything. It just goes on and on. There's not a bad track on here. Abandon is phenomenal. And like I said, when you understand the story and you see the connections of what they're doing with the story, it makes the album even more powerful. I have the live the live DVD of this tour, and they are phenomenal live. I've seen them, and they do a great job. But I mean, this is really them at their peak. Roy Khan's voice is off the charts. Thomas Youngblood on guitar, phenomenal, and just a really good album. And if you like rock that kind of has an operatic feel to it, you have keyboards and you have the guitars, everything else, and an operatic type singing voice, you got to give them a shot, because Camelot is really strong. And we will talk about them again when Ghost Opera comes up. But for 2005, The Black Halo was not my number 1, and I enjoy all those other albums, but this one is fantastic. And like I said, you could go with Batman Begins, Walk the Line, but I went with Wedding Crashers. So there you have for 2005, a pretty good year. Pretty good year. So I hope you guys are compiling your list, getting ready for 2006, which will be tomorrow. And then once again, keep leaving those comments, subscribe, do all the things that I ask you to do. I appreciate it, and we'll see you then.